Welcome to the Day One Podcast. I'm Adam Daly.
And I'm Brett Nord.
We're back for another week to talk to you about some exciting updates coming down the pipeline.
Unbelievably exciting.
And we also have a guest live on our show. Usually we do these discussions that you've had with people.
Yes, and they're live too.
They are live at the time.
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
Yes, it would be fun to interview the dad. Sorry.
But most of the time they're recorded episodes that you do with people, little conversations, and then we put them into the episode, and it's great. But today we have a live person joining us on the show through Zoom. Welcome, Pete from Portland.
I don't know what I did to for this rare honor, gents, but I'm thrilled to be joining you here.
We are too.
You said something right. It was a magic password or something.
Oh, it's going to be fun. I love some of your use cases, so we're going to talk about that.
Yeah, we're going to talk about his use in Day One and just go from there. But we want to first talk to you about some updates, which we're very excited to share. I know this is, okay, so I've been with Day One since April 2016, and I can tell you that probably our most requested feature in Day One is handwriting support with Apple Pencil.
Right.
Well, listeners, it's coming. It's coming very soon.
Yes.
I'm not going to say a date or anything like that or an ETA.
Sure.
But I want to tell you
December 12th.
that we are.
I just said a date. It had nothing to do with it.
That's true. That we're not. It's non-binding. But right now, Apple Pencil support is in an internal beta. We are testing this out and experimenting with the possibilities of Apple Pencil support.
If you could see Pete right now, he's covering his mouth. He's about to scream something.
I can't even.
It's going to be fun.
My number one request since I started using the Apple Pencil. This is the first app that I opened with my iPad Pro with the Apple Pencil, and I felt like this. Please tell me.
Here's where it needs to go.
Somebody sees this like I do.
Yeah. Now, we're not going to get into it right now, but when we get into the discussion with Pete, I want to talk about what you envision or how you see yourself using Apple Pencil with Day One, because I think there's a lot of different use cases for it.
Of course.
And we have spent some time, Ryan, one of our customer service reps, has been gathering data from people who have requested it, kind of getting down to the minutia, the specifics of what do you want to see with it?
Right.
How do you see yourself using it in Day One? So this is the first iteration, I'll tell you that much, and but it's working in our internal beta.
Exciting.
We expect it, I would assume, to be going into public beta in the next week or two, maybe. Don't hold me to that.
Hold me to it.
Things hold Brett to it, but things change. I just want to say that we're working on it.
Yeah.
And that's exciting. I know that's going to be a huge win for Day One. So thanks for your patience, everyone. I think we finally found a place. And the Apple Pencil, the new one, is great. Have you tried the new one, Pete?
You guys are just showing off now, right?
No.
Is that what we're doing? Because I'm looking at the video. You both have the new. I can't. No, I don't have the new one.
Okay. Now, that's a whole other story. Like, I could go into, like, me begging my wife to let me buy this thing.
The use case.
And I wasn't going to get the pencil. You can ask anybody in the office. I was like adamant. I'm like, I don't need it.
Yeah.
I don't need it. I said that about the iPad.
We called you Adam Adamant there for a while because you were adamant about it. You were not going to get one.
But then when the first iteration of Apple Pencil support in Day One came, I was like, honey.
Yeah.
I
need it for work.
I kind of need this for work.
It's for work.
And then she's like, well, make work buy it for you. Now I get her
Adam,
point.
I'm super curious. I have to ask: is the enthusiasm about the new iPad Pro and the new Apple Pencil? Did that drive any enthusiasm on the development side? Did that get people more excited about moving this up because I know this, having listened to the podcast since the beginning.
Sure.
I know that we've been talking about this.
Right. Yep.
I'm going to speculate and say yes.
For sure.
Because there were a number of engineers in the office that got it and started playing with it. In fact, one of our iOS engineers got himself the Pro 11-inch and the Pencil, and figured there's got to be a way we can do this. I think I'm sure Paul did too. Paul got a new one, right? He got the iPad.
Yep.
It was an interesting unboxing 4 different iPads on the same day, but
yeah, the different sizes. Yeah.
I'll just say I don't know if that was the catalyst, but I wouldn't be surprised. Right. If that helps.
Yeah.
I figured.
Because there is, the full screen now, the new things you can do with the Pencil. I love that on Notes where you can tap to change the settings between eraser and the writing utensil. So I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Definitely helped it move it.
It's great. It's great.
That figures.
So, yeah, Pencil support, you guys. Yeah. Get ready. there's something about handwriting, you know? And I'll just say that briefly. There's something about handwriting, seeing my own handwriting in there. Typing is way faster, but you know, this is me. Like you can see kind of my personality come out in how I write my letters and stuff. So anyway, the other thing that came out on Black Friday, which is a kind of sales holiday, I guess.
Everyone knows what Black Friday is, yeah.
Maybe some of our international listeners don't, but maybe they do because they watch Americans on YouTube fighting over TVs on Black Friday. Anyway, we launched gifts for day one. So now you can buy a gift and send it to someone for using day one for a year. So it includes all the premium features. It's $25. You get a little PDF gift certificate that you can forward to someone that you want to have try it out. So
not to be confused with gift without the T that you could upload as a photo.
Gifts.
In your entry. Yes.
Gifts. Yeah, I have
it's
to
just animated GIFs of people journaling. That's all you over and over.
That would be hilarious. Now you can just send gifts to other people.
I'm gonna give animated.
It costs $25, but
I'm gonna give animated GIFs as gifts.
There you do. You should.
Gifts.
I once printed out a birthday card full of memes for my sister, and it was like the hit of her birthday.
Love it. It was personal.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah. Good.
But anyway, it's a really cool feature. If you want to share day one with other people, you can go to day1.app/gifts, GIFTS, and purchase one. It'll be sent to your email so that you can later send it to someone else as a gift. So,
nice.
Very cool. The last one I wanted to mention is another big feature request that we've had is video support. And it is, let me just tell you this, I don't have an ETA, but we are working on video.
Yeah, and it's going to be released when it's solid.
When it's solid, yeah. So the team cares about that. You know, the team wants to do their best on these features, so it'll be ready when it is, but I just figured it would be a nice little teaser for you that it's being actively developed, which I think is great. I do a lot of video, you know, home video stuff, and having that in my journal would be great.
Sure.
So, yeah, that's all the updates I have. Mac 3.0 is still pending. There's some redesign coming for Mac 3.0. It'll have audio recording support as it does on iOS right now and Apple Watch. Ooh, new Apple Watch stuff is coming down the pipeline too. So
really, tell us about.
Well, just the interface is changing up a little bit. So nothing major, but you know, just keep an eye out for that. I have updated the help guides at help.day1app.com. Search for watch, and you can see what that will look like. So, yeah,
awesome.
Those are our updates.
Good stuff.
And Android stuff. I'm going to tell you right now. It's there are discussions going on about what's going on with Android and what we can do to improve that experience. So, stay tuned. We're working on it.
Yeah.
So. The team, you know, I don't know if like all of maybe our listeners know, but maybe the whole world doesn't know. All of our users just, like, we have a very small team.
Right.
Like sometimes you look at developers.
Nobody's over 4 foot tall.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We're all very short, like hobbits.
Yes.
We've got a bunch of hobbits working at day one.
Sorry, I distracted you. A small team in numbers.
This is how it's going to be today, isn't it?
Sorry, it's one of those days.
He's got sugar in his latte.
Yeah. It's just fun to be here. It's great. It's pencil support.
Yes. No, I was just saying, like, we are a small group, you know, and work as hard as we can on what we can as quickly as we can. So stay tuned. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your support.
Suggestions. Yeah.
Hope you've had a great year so far. I hope a lot of that has been documented in your day one journal. So that's what that's what we're here for. So.
I keep thinking back to our discussion with Kendra Wright. You remember how she talked about the end of the year? She went to a New Year's Eve party and tried to sum her year and was like, it's unfulfilled.
Right.
She said, never again will I do that. And I keep referring back to that. I'm going to do that before the end of the year.
Good.
Have it fulfilled and then cue it up for next year.
Do it.
Be more mindful. And we'll talk about the book club, but I've loved the book. That's helped me so much to remember to be gratitude.
Yeah, the book.
Grateful.
The book is amazing. So why don't we jump right into that?
Let's do it. Let's jump in with the book club that we've been doing on Facebook, the Facebook Day One community. We're going to have a discussion on the 14th. So we're recording this on a Friday, so 2 weeks from today, December 14th. We'll be having that discussion, Facebook Live and Zoom.
Facebook Live and Zoom. We want to make sure that that's available to everyone, because I know not everyone is on Facebook, and we've had requests on Twitter and Instagram saying, how can I be a part of this?
Sure.
We'll post a link to the Zoom conversation that you can join in.
Yes.
You can listen passively.
Right.
You can use audio or video, and you can also participate if you want through comments or raise your hand or whatever. But hopefully we'll have a great group and talk about this amazing book.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Enjoyed it so much. As I promised, I will update my notes this week, or my highlights from reading the book. So if you're in a time crunch with the holidays, don't have time to read the whole book, although I do recommend you do that.
Well,
I'll have the notes.
2 weeks though. It's an easy read. It's
is.
200 pages on iPad, so you could get it done in 2 weeks.
Right.
I know some people who read a lot of books. This would be an easy read. So.
Yes.
Jump in if you haven't yet. It's called The Gratitude Diaries by Janice Kaplan.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And
Paul mentioned he's listened to the audiobook, so it's on Audible.
Oh, nice.
And he's enjoyed listening to that. So there's some great stories. It's not all just tips on what to do. It's actually weaved really well with stories.
Well, and it's backed up with some pretty
research,
good research.
Yeah.
In addition to the anecdotal evidence.
Yes.
So, plus, in my experience, just try it. Try out the things that she did.
Yes.
And I promise you'll notice a difference, because I did.
Yep, that's right.
So.
Money back guarantee. Adam just gave it to us. That's right. Good stuff. So remember that date, the 14th.
Yeah. Link below, and then we'll post the date and everything. So stay tuned.
Yeah.
All right.
Sounds great.
That's all I got for updates. Let's spend some time with Pete from Portland.
Yeah, Pete. You still there? Yes.
Hello from Portland.
All right.
Greetings.
Pete, tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you're super active with podcasts, and
I'm pretty active with podcasts. Yeah.
Almost daily.
I have been definitely daily. I think we produce probably 6 shows a week across the various podcasts that I do. I've been podcasting since 2006, and I do this professionally. So my little network, my modest little network, is rashpixel.fm, and within there I have a number of sub shows. The bigger shows. The Next Reel is our movie podcast that's been, we just hit episode 500 of that maybe this week, with our conversation on the Thomas Crown Affair, 1967's original.
Oh,
Steve
the old
McQueen.
school,
Nice.
the old school.
Oh yeah.
Not
We've
the
spent
Pierce
whole
Brosnan
year.
one.
Well, we actually did that too.
Okay,
Actually, this is part of our series of movies and their remakes.
Oh, okay, nice.
And our whole master arc, which is so fantastic for movie nerds, it's fantastic, right? We're celebrating 50th anniversary movies, so we've spent the last 6 months. All of our little series have started with movies that are celebrating their 50th anniversary this year. So 2001, and it's great.
Did you go see the IMAX version that they came out with then?
I'm going to say something controversial. Yeah, I'm not one of those. I'm not a Kubrickian fan of 2001.
Right.
I'm a Clarkian fan. I prefer the books.
The book, sure.
And that's so it's
fair enough.
It definitely is enough to incite comments.
Yeah.
Can I tell you a quick funny thing that happened with the 2001 that Adam just mentioned? I did see it in IMAX. And it was an awesome experience. But I'm in line to get my ticket, and I said something in reference, because there's a bunch of, again, movie nerds like me. They're excited to see it. All queued up to get a ticket, and I get to the front, and I said, "Yeah, I'm here to get 2001." She goes, "Oh yeah, that movie. I don't know much about it." I said, "Well, it's a classic. It's an oldie but a goodie." And she goes, "Yeah, I understand. It came out in 2001."
No,
not quite.
That didn't happen.
Yes, I promise.
That's a good story.
That's
and
the worst.
I turned to the guys like, "Really?" And they're all like, "Please," like rolling their eyes. She really just said that? It came out.
Oh,
in 2001?
come on. She was 16, Brett. Leave her
true.
alone.
She was. Okay, she was young. I'll give it to her. But
wow. Anyway, yeah.
Yes.
So that's a fun one, and so we do that. I also do, I do another a number of other podcasts. The ADHD podcast, Taking Control, the ADHD podcast, and we talk about Day One all the time over there.
Cool.
Keeping it relevant. So I've got a bunch of podcasts, and I produce weekly. I've got 2,500 podcasts on the site now, and
oh man.
And
see, that's my goal, Brett. That's my goal. I need to talk to Pete offline here and just get some career advice. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm a podcast lover, man. So I do that. That's part of the job. The other part is photography and consulting, marketing, branding consulting. My background was in business. I quit the big corporate job in 2007 because I wanted to push buttons. I wanted to actually do the work, and I spent too much time hiring people to do the work. That is that sort of feeling. I miss being behind the camera and on the mic.
You're talking literally pressing buttons, not making people upset.
No. I literally
Yeah.
press buttons, and sometimes I make them upset. But those two things may or may not be related.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool. I definitely want to hear about your personal use, but since we're talking about your business and professional, tell us how you use Day One in business with your jobs.
Well, so, we talked about the podcast stuff. That's kind of the first big category. I start all my show notes in Day One, and all of my research goes into Day One. And so, I end up with 3,000 some odd entries in the podcast journal that represent the show notes, all tagged with the shows, and nice. I can jump around through them and see them on the dates that they're in, and I can go back and I put the direct link to each episode back in the note.
Cool.
So that I can jump to it on the website and see where the master file is stored. And it's just fantastic, just way for me to kind of interact with the content before it goes live, and then maintain the archive after. So that works really well for me.
Preference on platform or device that you enter in your notes in?
Man, that speaking of controversial questions,
that's minutia, but I was interested because I was just thinking about this because I do the same thing for my personal podcast as well.
Yeah.
Is I do my notes on Day One, and then I've got my reference there as I'm recording live. So,
well, I'll tell you, because I'm doing so much podcasting, I spend most of my time, on the computer, right?
Okay.
And so I'm on my Mac more often. But I'll tell you, I love iOS, and I have the canopy and the Bluetooth, and I got this little stand.
Oh, nice.
The Viozon kind of stand. And so it sets up and it turns, it spins so I can work portrait. And I really love this stand. And so I spend more time, I'm aggressive about moving away from the Mac in just day to day. Like if there's something that can be done, even for 15 minutes, away from the Mac, out of the office, I'll go sit on the kitchen table. I'll sit in the back porch. I'll get away from the Mac to do it. Sure. So my preference is, I'll definitely spin up iOS Day One, but generally it starts on the Mac because that's where I am.
Yeah. So the reason I asked is because I find myself doing a lot more split screen with a web browser in Day One so that I can be researching stuff or get quotes or images or whatever, and I can just drag those right in on the iPad. So Split View has been amazing for my personal podcasting notes. So,
well, and I would add to that, just capturing ideas. The Apple Watch has been really transformative, and it got really good in I think it was the last update. Like it just got really good. The little notification that pops up that says, "Hey, we've just synced an audio." Like before that happened, there was always this sort of wizardry that I knew was going on in the background, but sometimes it wouldn't. Like I've lost little brief entries because I just wasn't clear where they went, and that just all disappeared. Like I feel like after the last couple of weeks, I can really trust it. And so for me to start capturing on the watch while I'm driving, whatever, I do the nose press thing. I have it as it's a complication, and I just press it with my nose while I'm driving, and I capture ideas that way. So.
Nice. Well, and to the engineer's credit, there was a lot of back end stuff that was done, along with the notifications, but now you can also record when you're not connected. So you record an audio when you're not connected to your phone.
Yes.
And I thought this was a big deal because we've had some requests come in. What if I'm out on a walk and I don't have my phone, but I've got my watch?
Sure.
I want to record this audio, and then when I get back, have it sync. That now works.
Yes.
So that was an exciting implementation as well.
How does that work over cellular? Like if I don't have my watch, I'm on cellular. Does it sync over cellular?
It does
somehow?
not. No.
It doesn't. Good.
Just
Okay.
store it until you get back.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it stores it locally
That's good.
on
That's
the watch.
actually what I would prefer.
Yeah.
Just a side note, since we're mentioning transcription and audio, Dave Sparks, who's a friend of the show, and Day One, Mac power user, you know, Mac Sparky, great guy. He emailed me this week and said it's probably obvious to the rest of the group, those are those that we've talked to in tech, but I can't emphasize how much of a game changer audio notes and transcription is for me. I'm creating more and better entries than ever before.
Nice.
It's like it just works really well. So.
Do you use transcription as well with the audio recording?
I do. I do both. Yeah. Depends on what I'm trying to do. If I'm creating a note for a show note, I use transcription.
Okay.
If it's a personal thing, if I'm just kind of recording thoughts and I need to talk a little bit longer, I'll just leave transcription. I'll go with a straight recording.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cool. Yeah, I've been curious kind of like what the balance is there, what people are actually using. Is transcription kind of preferred or whatever, and that was also increased to 5 minutes by the way.
Yes.
Transcription for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway,
Good stuff.
It's really smart. It's just I get giddy when those kinds of features come out, because those directly like hit right in the sweet spot of my use case.
Awesome.
And
Yes.
I feel like Day One, more than just about any other app, maybe Ulysses, are in this class of apps where, I don't know, I feel like I'm in this upgrade cycle where every single upgrade addresses something that I have complained about or wished for.
Well, that's good.
So it's just, I get really excited whenever I see an update.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
I get excited about it. Like, I don't do drugs. I don't gamble. But my God, man, these app updates.
That's the high he needs.
Euphoria, yeah.
That's the
Keep
high.
them
right.
coming. Keep them coming.
That's right.
hard and fast.
I noticed, I think it's Readle, the developer that does a lot of Mac and iOS apps. They've started, I think it's Readle. Yeah, they've just gone to where when they get enough feature requests from a user, they actually name the update after the user.
Oh.
That's kind of cute.
I didn't know. That's
Oh,
cool.
that's right. Didn't they do for Spark or something? There was the
Yeah.
Brad Tarantino
Yes,
edition or
right.
something. It's really cute.
Yeah. Yeah. And we both use the word cute because it is kind of more cute than.
We did. How is that weird?
It's an
How did
homage.
cute
It's
become
an
a thing
homage.
between us?
Yeah.
It's an homage. I like it.
Right. So, Pete, tell us about are you ready to move on?
Yeah.
Let's talk a
I'm
little bit-
following you,
Thanks.
so
Yep. Scary. I wouldn't recommend that.
no.
Let's do it. Tell us about your personal use with journaling. As far as, have you always been a journaler? Is this kind of a newer thing with using tech to record things?
I have been a journaler in some capacity as long as I can remember, but I'm not one of those people that has journaled every day for
Sure.
30 years. But I do. I have just a whole bunch of old sticker covered Moleskine journals that I use for notes and thoughts. I have them kind of lining the closet shelf here, and I feel like Day One, I started with Mac Journal in terms of journaling on
Sure.
the Mac, and it didn't stick. It didn't stick when it felt like they stopped updating for long periods of time.
Yeah.
And so it just sort of evaporated. I exported all those, and it's really with Day One where it's become a part of my personal and professional workflow that I went so far as to create daily reminders. So now I have a daily review at 4:00 every day where I sit down in Day One, every day, and just write down some thoughts that I need to take care of. I have the weekly review Sundays at 4, where I sit down and kind of look at the week past, major highlights, and plan for major projects coming up the next week, thoughts, big happenings. And then I have a monthly review where I kind of review the whole month and look at the month ahead and record my thoughts and notes and major objectives, personal and professional, in that note. So I can go back and look at, how have I done over the last 6 months? We're coming up on the new year, and I'm not much of a resolutions guy, but I do use the new year sort of momentum, that kind of emotional, cultural momentum. I use that to kind of really dig deep and reflect a little bit more on what did I accomplish and what do I want to accomplish for the year to come. I've started 3 of my novels in Day One, and yes, they're all unpublished.
Hey, but you can do book printing and then pay 30 bucks for
there
it.
you go.
Oh, yeah.
These are all NaNoWriMo. We're NaNoWriMo. I've done NaNoWriMo for 15 years,
Cool.
and I'm a big fan of that. And so all of that started in Day One, and so it's really exciting for me to see again so much of my sort of creative life spins out of this modest little app that's just a workhorse.
How long did it take you to kind of get into that routine though? Obviously that probably wasn't like day one the
Good run.
ding.
I like it.
Where's the rim shot
I
there?
need a cowbell.
I need a rim shot.
Yeah.
Right.
But how long did it take you to kind of get into that routine and kind of figure out what works best for you?
It doesn't. I'm one of those. So I live with ADHD. And I am one of those people whose nature of ADHD, the dopamine push that I get with my particular brand of ADHD is all in systems and processes. So I'll go dark for a week where I will be running my to-do system in Todoist and Things and OmniFocus, and I'll keep hundreds of tasks synced up in all of those apps so I can feel which one's the right one for me.
Sure.
But that level of hyperfocus allows me to ramp up pretty quickly.
Okay.
It ends up being kind of a dark week, because I don't talk to people. I'll just do one thing, for the week. So for me, it was put day one in the dock, make sure it launches when I turn on my computer in the morning and opens up, and get all the alerts set up just how I want them. And then I just kind of go with it.
Okay.
Like, as if there's not a competing app in the space with which I feel like I need to really compare, I'm off to the races. So for me, it was pretty quickly. Once I made the decision, I was all in. The photography too. I create a new journal with every photo trip I take, and so I'm just wrapping up my China trip right now. And so I've got hundreds of photos in there, and all the posts that go with them through all the cities that I visited and all the trips we took. And then that's just an isolated sort of nugget of my life. Then I can print the book and I can move on. And so I do that with every major event or trip. I definitely isolate it into those journals.
Journal.
And that, again, has just become a part of my workflow. It's been just a delightful way to do it.
Awesome.
Nice. Is there integration between day one and one of your to-dos? You mentioned like 3 or 4 there. Do you use one to-do app now that you've to kind of determine what's best?
I'm on Todoist now, and mostly it's because they gamified it, with the karma. Are you up with the karma? Yep. Okay, I'm a junkie for karma. I just hit 20. Nobody understands this.
It's that northwestern kind of thing. That's
yeah.
See,
and I love it up there.
I suffer through my stereotypes. I hit 20,000.
Really, 20,000?
People get all upset. They're like, you don't watch Portlandia yet? No, because that's Monday.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's like, it's that's not funny. It's of course the free range chicken has a name. What?
It's one of my favorite episodes right there.
Oh my gosh.
So anyway,
20,000. You're going to say entries?
My karma points. I just crested 20,000. So I'm now like a master level, whatever, to do checker offer. And that has sent me over the moon. And I try to tell my wife, look at what I've achieved. And she's like, where's the, where are the checks?
That's
like,
right.
Assign that tell me about billable hours, and then we'll talk.
There's something about gamification though that I think helps people. I mean, obviously in this case, and it has come up a few times when we've discussed, what can we do to maintain engagement in day one, streaks and stuff like that. That's definitely something that's been considered. So,
there's something about it.
Yeah. Watch out,
badges,
watch out for day one karma.
Yes,
right. Hey, I'm already all in. I will,
So back to my question.
I will come to Utah and journal on site to celebrate.
Yes,
we got to see it.
Integration
between the two. Do you?
Yeah, integration. So I'll send. I use all of the appropriate. What are they called? The little widgety things. What do you call them? The extensions.
Oh, the share extension.
Share sheets and things. Yeah. I do that. I do it most with Scanbot actually, and in addition to Apple Pencil, handwriting support is my number one giant request for day one. Hallelujah, amen. The next one was support for PDFs because that's, and honestly, I don't know if I even want to talk about that, because what I do right now is I do Scanbot. Usually if it's something I'm keeping like a bill or something, I send it into Evernote as a PDF. But sometimes it's, my kid's got a great letter from school and I want to keep that and tell a story about it. And so I want to save it as a PDF into day one. Right now, my workflow is simply share it as JPEG.
Right.
But I think my preference would be PDF. The downside of that for me is that really changes day one, and it now puts it into competition with something like Evernote, which is kind of my master library. And I'm not really keen on that either. I don't want my systems to compete. Right now, I have a use for each of them.
There's a tricky space, obviously, between what is your main purpose as an app, right?
Right.
Do I want to be the best journaling app, or do I want to be a more utility app like Evernote, where I can just kind of put all sorts of documents and content in there? And I think that's something that the team is conscious of. They want to be the best journaling app, because I know one of our big features in version 1 was the publish feature. Some of you may remember this, where you could select an entry, publish it to an online link, and share that link with other people, and then people could kind of tune in to your journal entries. And when moving to version 2, that was, kind of slated to be on the docket, but we kind of thought, do we want to put all our resources into this online publishing tool? or kind of focus more on what we want Day One to be, as in a journaling app, right?
Sure.
And so I think I'm not always involved in all of those discussions, but they try to consciously decide, where do we want Day One to go?
Right.
And so some of those, are on hold until we can figure out a solution that works best for us, or, whatever.
Right.
And PDF is on that list. Like we get requests for that. So
yeah, I honestly, like, it's a request that's in my head, and I kind of like, I would be okay if you never listened to that one. You know what I mean?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Well, the other thing is, I heard this from another app. We watched this video where when users make requests, try to identify the problem they're trying to solve by that request, and maybe we can address it in a different way. And so that's also something that, I think the team tries to rely on, is not just, okay, here's this little Band-Aid fix for this one use case, but how can we look at what they're really asking for, and then try to implement that.
That's great.
So it's been eye-opening for me, kind of, to go through this experience and work with the team to just see where that balance is, what decisions they make, and then back them up 100%. So
yes, yep, and we'll continue to do the developer interviews.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So go ahead.
Yeah,
Pete.
I am always curious about kind of the thinking that goes in, that underlies the decisions to cut things. I'm one of those people that poured one out for the publish feature when it was gone, but then I realized I never used it. Like, it didn't fit with my core intention of using the app in the workflows that I created. I never used it for that. So, totally makes sense.
And you mentioned, competing with other apps. There's a lot of great publishing services out there.
Medium.
Yeah.
Medium, like, even the team uses Medium.
Right.
Like, a lot of the engineers will use Medium for their posts.
Yeah.
And Medium does it really well.
Sure.
And so, do we want to try and compete with that?
Right.
Or do we want to, stay in our own space and,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Pete, do you remember your first entry in Day One? Put you on the spot.
Do I remember my first entry?
Do a quick search.
He's going to look now.
Yeah, well, I can't. Okay. I can't.
This is an open book test, Pete.
The beauty of it. When did Day One launch?
2011.
How about this? When was your last post? Is that easier to answer?
Oh, today.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Right. right. That's easy. So it launched in 2011. Seriously?
Yep. I'm trying to pull up.
We can come back to it.
You're actively looking. Are we doing real-time research right now?
Well, I'm looking up the release notes. It was on Mac first, right?
I have a scan. It was not a scan. It was a note that I had, because for a long time I had done my handwritten journaling in GoodNotes. And I had done it with one of the early styluses that were now, like, nobody even remembers, right? Just the little rubber tip, kind of writing with the tip of your fist, like,
basically.
savages. I feel like I'm writing with a femur, you know what I mean? And so that was it. And I would take those and I would save those as images and send them into Day One for safekeeping. And I definitely have one of those. And it was, it was a note that I had written, a handwritten note of a report of an experience we had with my kids with one of their doctors after an injury, and I was complaining about it, and that's what it was.
Oh, there you go.
I just used it as a way to vent, and it's a full page of notes about me and my experience with my child who had an injury, and I wasn't happy with the doctor.
Wow.
And that was 2011.
Yep.
So
it looks like Mac launched in March of 2011.
All right. This was December.
Day One 1.0.
Okay, I just looked up my first entry. You ready for this? It's going to be so disappointing.
Uh-oh.
This is January 25th, 2012.
Oh, that's not bad.
Entitled, Hello There. Okay, this is my attempt to write in my journal/diary. I've never been good at this. So how's that for a start? I don't want to burn. Okay, it gets better. I don't want to burn out. So here's my entry for today. Tomorrow I'll give more of what I'm doing now. That's it.
That's the quintessential first entry,
I know,
though.
it is.
The quintessential first entry in any journal is, I'm not really good at this. Let's see how this goes.
Yeah. And then I say,
That's
at
fantastic.
the end, I say, tomorrow I'll give more of what I'm doing now. A snapshot of my life in the 2012 year. My next entry is February 13th.
No.
So I didn't quite make the next day.
Hey,
dang it.
As long as it's regular, right? As long as it's consistent, you're doing it once a month. Hey, that's fine, right? That's always been I've been an advocate of make journaling your own. You define it for yourself.
I love it. Thank you.
I'm not going to get down on you.
That's really the nut of the journaling process for me, and it's one of the reasons I talk about it so often on the ADHD podcast, is because so much of journaling, is about the mindfulness or a mindfulness process, right? It's being able to step back and be reflective and slow down, and that's another one of the reasons I love the handwriting support so much. You said it before. I think we pushed record, Adam, that I'm faster on my keyboard. Well,
Yes.
yeah, absolutely. I write literally like I have all my fingers are broken, like my handwriting is terrible. But it slows me down to the point that I have to think about every letter that comes out of the tip of the pencil.
Love
When I'm in a space of hyperfocus, when I'm in a space of that kind of rigorous introversion, I have to slow my brain down by just putting in a speed bump. And sometimes that speed bump is, my hand.
I like that. That makes a lot of sense.
It does.
It does slow you down. I almost said there's like a price to pay having to manually write out your notes. And you're right. You're maybe more thoughtful about what you're putting in there as opposed to just opening up the floodgates. And I'm sure there's benefits to both. Somebody actually commented on the Facebook community today about, do you include sad entries?
I was looking for that.
Do you include sad entries? And I said, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to hide away from those moments. And plus, my purpose for journaling was posterity, right? I want my kids to see this, or my grandkids to know who grandpa was or whatever. And if I'm all highlights, like, they don't get to know the real me. That sometimes I had bad days.
Yeah. That was Giovanni Lopez.
Thank you.
That was a great question.
Thank you, Giovanni.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's something about that, like choosing not to include certain events or certain things that just made you feel a certain way, or experiences that I kind of feel like that is unintentionally rewriting history, future history.
Yes.
And
I think I mentioned that too in my response. I said, you write, history is written by the victors, right? And if I'm writing highlight after highlight, that's essentially what I'm doing. I'm rewriting, as you said.
Yeah.
I'm blocking out some of these events that maybe I learned something from, or maybe I didn't. Maybe I didn't learn from that crappy experience and I was mad about it. But then I can look back and go, oh, that's how I handled it. Maybe I should try something different next time, and then progress.
Sure. And if you ever share that with your children, that's not really fair to only have positive things to be like, well, gosh, didn't Dad experience this that I'm going through?
Yes.
Unless you are honest and...
Yeah, no, and that's the other thing is maybe they go through something similar.
Sure.
They look back and see my journals. Oh, Dad handled it like this. Maybe I should try that, or maybe I should try the opposite. Definitely they should be better than me.
Yes.
But yeah, anyway.
Yep, you said that. Be as authentic as possible in your post. Don't hide from the sad, negative stuff. It's good.
I know that was a bit of a tangent there from slowing down, but I just thought that was kind of correlated there.
Yeah.
Well, slowing down and grounding us, right? I mean, it's a grounding experience too. It's a way to just kind of plant my feet and say, this is my reality right now. I went through something hard, and I have now. It's a way for me to adapt to this kind of whatever the new normal is, even if it's just a little thing. My son breaks his arm, and everything gets shaken up for a few days, and now I've got a kid who's in a cast for 6 weeks, and what does that mean for a child? How does that impact our family? Like there's a new experience with that, and I want to capture that and make sure that I'm able to use that to adapt. From the littlest experiences to the big ones, new jobs, new marriages, relationships, whatever.
Sure.
Agreed.
The human experience.
All right, here's a curveball. Ready? Mm-hmm. Favorite current feature in Day One?
The watch.
Okay.
Hands down.
Watch
I know. See, here you've set me up because I'm already so exuberant about everything, but I've already said it. Like it's hands down. It's being able to use my nose on my wrist and start talking.
I know he's not the only one because I've done that myself.
Sure.
Yeah.
My finger's too cold, or I'm on the on the steering wheel, just tap it with my nose. I know there's other people out there that do it.
I'm the odd man out. I've never done that.
Come on, Brett.
No, I haven't.
Oh,
it's like a 11th finger, man.
It is the 11th finger feature. That's what it is.
All right, I'm gonna try it this week. I'm gonna try it. I'll do that.
I deeply hope that there is an 11th finger feature in the show in the release notes.
Oh no, that's gonna be the title of this episode, my friend.
It's going to be named after Pete.
Yeah.
Pete knows how to use his nose. Okay. Good stuff.
You may think you're alone, but you're in good company.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. Yeah. I would love to know if you have any shout outs to the community as far as tips, tricks. What would you tell our listeners that you've learned?
Well, I don't know if it's necessarily a tip or a trick. I feel like I've my workflow I've already sort of outlined,
yes.
whether it's, using the share sheets and sending JPEGs, things like that of events and watch stuff. I went to see David Sedaris.
I did too.
With David Sedaris, the writer. Yeah,
last week.
Yeah, he's on a tour, so he was here, and then it sounds like he came to see you.
Yes,
and he's wonderful. And he told, first of all, he told two fantastically dirty jokes that I immediately documented in day one.
Yes.
So we'll leave them there where they belong, but
Yep.
they're really delightful and horrific.
Yes.
And but what I noticed is, as a storyteller, this was the second time I'd seen David over 2 years, and I actually went back to the post in day one. Where the first time I saw David, and I noticed that my language had started to change in my personal entries, and so I go back to sit down after seeing him that second time and look at how my language has changed and realize that I had really evolved as a storyteller through those two milestones in telling my personal stories.
I love that.
And I feel like that was the first time I noticed that even as somebody who sits down and writes novels intentionally, I write fiction, and the podcasts that I do tend to be practical and skills based. We teach people things, but I don't think in my personal history in terms of stories, in terms of telling them like a story, and that experience of looking at the arc of my storytelling between those 2 years and look at how far I've come, I would just say, consider yourself a storyteller of your life. Like, that's what you are. And that's one of these things that this tool can really do, whether you use it like I do as a very much a professional tool,
Sure.
Or you just use it as a diarist. You're a storyteller of your own stories, and you may not end up on stage telling stories to 1,000 people in a packed auditorium, but one day somebody's going to read this, and they're going to share in your story and your language, your use of words, your flourishes, your touches, your identity. I think that's really important.
That's awesome.
That was really powerful.
Yeah,
So that was fantastic.
I agree. I listened to a podcast this week from Mel Robbins, who the 3-second rule, I think is hers, 3, 2, 1, the countdown, and she's awesome. Great TED Talks, and it's similar advice she would give. She said, I have a lot of people approach me about how do I make it on the speaking network and the circuit, and how do I do that? And she keeps referring back to this. The one thing that you have that no one else has is your story. You can get skill based and learn to be a better public speaker, but until you tell your story, and that's something that no one else can offer. I had the same experience when I saw David Sedaris, and I shared it with the team. I saw it on Sunday. The next day morning, we had Monday morning, we had a meeting, and BJ, our lead developer, shared a story, just a kind of a funny off the cuff, just saying, I went to the gym over the weekend and I left my wallet, and I went back to get it, and it was in a safe, and they couldn't find the combination to the safe. And we all just laughed, and I said, okay, I got to share what I told where I went. I said, this guy stood up for hours and read from his journal, his entries, and he's got his latest book is about his journal entries. His next one's gonna be about journals, and they seem to be kind of mundane stories, but yet he brings his personality into it, and they're hilarious. I'm like, we all have the stories like that, but how often do we stop and write them down and notate them?
It takes practice to get over self-judgment and self-loathing. Right.
Yes.
It's a muscle. It is a muscle that we are building and strengthening and stretching, and it takes repetition, and that's okay.
Agreed.
Yes.
Well, I think we're about out of time here.
I could say one more thing.
Oh, please.
To that point is
I just wanted.
yeah, thanks. The idea of social media, where those of us that post, I don't very much, but you'd kind of put it through the filter of, is this interesting enough for people to hear? Is this going to be compelling? You kind of have that filter where you have to worry about it. You don't have that with day one. It's like, just record it, and it's only you that needs to.
Yeah, my family can read it when I'm dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have 7 or 8 printed day one books over there, and my wife came down one time and she's looking through, and I'm like, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Still here.
I said, you can read those when I'm dead. Now, I've picked on my wife
here.
a little bit, but let me just tell you, she is my best friend, so
Yeah.
I give her a little heat.
You know, I gotta throw in. This was one of the tips that I shared on my podcast some time ago, but specifically on that point because I am an ardent believer in it. That if you're looking for a social media cleanse, right? You know, if you find you're spending too much time staring at the Black Mirror,
Yes.
Day One is such a fantastic alternative to the just sort of waiting in line. I need to fidget on something. So it was several years ago. I was doing a cleanse, and I deleted Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and everything off of my phone. And I just put Day One on there and said, this is going to be my alternative. When I feel the need for the dopamine push to share something, I'm just going to type it in here and walk away. And so I'm waiting in line at the DMV. I'm standing at the grocery store. I'll type 1 or 2 lines, or I'll dictate a line or two, and I'll move on. And that has been really transformative. I still don't have... I got Instagram back. I don't even use it that often, but I still don't have Twitter and Facebook on my phone. I have Day One.
Yep.
Yeah.
If it's important enough to share, I'll share it later.
Yep. I 100% believe it.
Preaching to the choir.
I agree.
Huge.
That's good.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, we could go on another hour.
No, this
too.
has been absolutely delightful. Thank you so much, Pete, for being on the show with us today.
Oh, absolutely my pleasure. And you know what? I was also told that I was allowed to give a shout out to the team. Can I still do that?
Yeah,
Is
of
it
course.
too late?
Yes. No.
Sure.
Look, I know how strange it can be to sit in and stare at a screen and create this tool and not really know how it's going to be received, how it's received day to day. But I just have to say deep thanks because, and I hope that no one who is actively working on this tool ever underestimates, the power of the tool to change the way people live their lives. It has certainly changed how I interact with the world around me through thoughtful processing. And so thank you for being an enabler in that journey. It's really beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks, Pete. That was awesome.
Yeah, we'll pass that on.
Absolutely. Okay.
I love how you say that you'll pass it on as if nobody on the team listens to this podcast.
I think they all do.
They do.
I think they all do.
Yeah.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Yes, they will.
So
Yeah.
They're all podcast junkies.
Yeah.
I think we all are. Like the entire team is a podcast. We're all junkies.
Yeah. It's good stuff.
Anyway, in a good way.
For sure.
So, yeah, that's all we have today. Thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned for those features. We're very excited. We're very excited for what's coming down the line. And if you ever need any help, we have help guides online. If you go to help.dayoneapp.com, you can search through them. There's different categories of troubleshooting, tips and tutorials, etc. If you need additional help, you can chat with the support team. You can do that in a number of ways, including an in-app chat on iPhone or iPad.
Right.
I was saying iPhone. That's just a conglomeration of iPad and iPhone.
Yes.
But if you go to dayoneapp.com/contact, all of our support avenues are there, plus our times that we are in the office. So if you need help, let us know.
Yes.
If you have feedback for Brett and I, go to email us at podcast@dayoneapp.com.
That's right.
And then you can still sign up for times to have a discussion with Brett because we love having those. And as soon as we can, we'll try and put them on the show and integrate with what topics we're coming up with that week.
That's
So
right. Calendarly.com/dayoneapp.
Calendarly?
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Maybe.
Calendly.
Calendly.
Gosh, dang it.
Yeah,
I get it these
Calendly.
times. Thanks.
Whatever it is. The
I
link.
just do the calls.
No. So I have a text expander snippet for
Yeah.
the show notes, and I
Sure.
just paste. So I don't even know.
Yeah, thanks for correcting me.
Calendly.
That's right.
Yeah. Anyway, the link below. Check it out.
Yes,
That'll
yes.
make it easier.
For sure.
Anyway, thanks for joining us. Oh,
And after talking to Pete, we're going to consult with him to step up our game. We're going to get even better at this podcasting thing.
absolutely. Absolutely.
For the best tips and tricks.
He's going to give us podcasting tips and tricks.
Yes,
Absolutely.
That's right.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We will talk to you in the next couple of weeks.
Have a great couple of weeks. Yep. Take care.